All right, can you guys hear me now? And I got people on the chat here. Can't hear you, same. All right, so everybody can hear me now. Yes, yes, okay. All right, so we'll start over. Awesome, fantastic. Hopefully everyone can hear me now. This thing is not working. I'm back on the computer, so I'm not gonna be able to move, which is fine, but this is not coming through. I'll play with it when I'm done. See if it says it's working here, like I can do this, I hear it, but it's not coming through there. That was the same problem we were having before. So, not a problem. We'll be on the computer here and everybody will be good. All right, so everybody can hear me now? Okay, yeah, hope can, yeah. Okay. All right, so, all right, we'll start over then. Hi, welcome to ZipForms class. We'll start over for the people in the room. We'll have to hear this twice. For our command, as you know, for a couple of years now, we've been using .loop as our form software. That software will be ending. And so we've given you a couple of other options. We started using Docusign about a year ago now. And some people love it and some people absolutely hate it. Some people have had issues with it, with errors and the forms not being correct, etc. So we have decided as a Market Center to give you another option, which would be ZipForms. Our workflow for ZipForms, Docusign, .loop is the same. So if you've taken any of my classes previously, as far as entering the contact, starting the opportunity, doing all of that, it's all the same. It's not going to change your workflow. There's one extra step if you choose to use ZipForms. So we'll walk through that steps and walk through that right now. If you choose to use ZipForms, you need to do one extra step, which is email Peter and give him your username and email that you want to use for your ZipForms account. If you currently have a ZipForms account and you've been using it or you signed up for one previously, you cannot use that same username and you cannot use that account. Okay, I shouldn't say you cannot. You can. They won't have the KW forms in it and it won't keep things updated. So Peter has committed to going forward, Docusign and ZipForms will have all of the correct forms in them and he will keep them updated. If you choose to stay with .loop, you will need to start paying for that on your own, which again will force you to create a new account, and then you will be responsible for updating any forms going forward. Okay. Any questions on that? Make sure that when you send an email to Peter, you put in their ZipForms login or something like that so he knows that that's because he'll look for those and set you all up. Then they will send you an email, you'll set up a password, and then you should be good to go. Okay. So if you're currently using a ZipForms account, that will not work going forward because it won't have the KW stuff in it, it won't have our templates, etc. Will we still be able to access the contacts and the documents within .loop? You will be able to go back, you will not be able to start new loops. So you'll be able to access old deals, but you won't be able to start new loops. And of course, as everyone's aware, we've already transferred over to the fact that we're not doing compliance in .loop anymore anyway. So you'll be able to see your old stuff, but you will not be able to write anything new. Okay. All right, so let's dive in here then and let's look at what ZipForms does for us. So again, everything that the way that I teach, the way this software is developed is it works by what works for you. How does your brain work? What does it work for you? So basically, like I said, the workflow is exactly the same. We're going to make sure that our contact is entered. We're going to make sure that we have an opportunity. We're going to create our opportunity. And once we've created our opportunity, then we can get in and start working with the documents. Okay, so we're going to go in here and grab one of our opportunities. I want to do one that I haven't done one here. That's okay. So we're going to grab one of our opportunities here. This happens to be a buy opportunity. We're going to click on the documents. And once you've created that opportunity, you're going to see here where it says start a transaction. Okay. Now, the way that I like to use it, because I find that I really like the Docusign signature part, right? I like the creating of the envelopes. I like the way that that sets up. I like the freedom that that gives me when I set that up. So I'm going to use this in what I call a hybrid version. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to use Docusign for my signatures and the creation of that connection to Docusign, or I'm sorry, to Command. Okay, so when I create this start a transaction through Command, I'm creating that bridge. And we've talked about that if you've come to my compliance classes or my Command classes. You should be able to have that start a transaction button in there. That creates that bridge to Docusign. Then when we have all of our signed documents, that bridge is there to put them all in very easily. Okay, so that's why I prefer to use this hybrid version of Docusign and ZipForms together. Okay, so I'm going to click that start a transaction. And it is going to log me into Docusign. I'm going to log into that. I can remember the password. That would be great. Nope. Okay. So I'm going to log into Docusign. And as you can see, it's going to create that room for me. In our previous classes, we would have went into this details section, filled it all out, done all that. I am going to go in there for just a minute and make sure that my people, which are on the right-hand side of the screen here, went in there correctly. Okay, so since this is a buyer, you can see here is all my buyer information. And all my information went in properly. So I know I'm okay. Since I'm not going to be using Docusign to do my actual contracts, I'm not going to worry about the left-hand side of the screen anymore. Okay, so my people are right, I'm good. I'm going to go over here to where it says documents. I'm going to click the add button. So none of this is any different at this point than what we did previously. I'm going to click where it says ZipForms. And then what it's going to do is ask me again to create a bridge from Docusign to ZipForms. Okay, so in this case, I've never created this one before. So I'm going to hit the word create, and I'm going to start a room, or a transaction is what they call it in ZipForms. Okay, so this is a purchase and it's a residential purchase. Okay, so I'm creating the transaction in ZipForms and I hit create. This is your extra step. So if you have my handouts from previous about doing these, if you've taken classes before, this is where you insert the new step. And the new step is that we do have to log into ZipForms. There it is, it's ZipForms Plus. You can bookmark it on your computers, so it's real quick and easy. And you're gonna go in here, gonna move you guys. And you're gonna log in. Again, once you do this on your computer a couple times, it will remember all of this stuff. And you will not have to, it won't take quite this long. It'll just be a new login. We're gonna log into ZipForms Plus, okay? So this is the ZipForms screen, okay? Very similar to the other things that we've done in Docusign or in .loop. You've got each of your transactions here, all along here. Now, this is where it has to be the way your brain works. I tend to stay in Docusign, so I do this quick and then I get back into Docusign and I do everything in Docusign. If you like the way ZipForms is, I see Luann was on here. She loves ZipForms, so you can stay in here and do everything and just go into Docusign at the very end if that's what you want to do. Whichever seems easiest for you, play in both and see what works. But essentially what I've done is I've created that room in Docusign. I've created the transactions in ZipForms. All those bridges have been created. I'm going to click on this buyer, and then I'm going to click on the documents, right? Because that's the whole point of this, is to have something that works better in documents. We have set up some templates for you. So if you hit apply template, you'll see all of the templates that we did in Dotloop. Okay, does that make sense? So here is my residential purchase right here. I'm going to click apply, and you'll see I have all of the forms just like we've done everywhere else. This is again where you have that decision. You can go in each one of these and fill them out right here. Perfectly fine. You can also go in back into your Docusign and add them in through that linked transaction. Now you can see all those forms are there. You can see I've linked it to that transaction. I have all of the forms here. I hit select and I hit add. Once those have added in there, you will see it looks exactly like Docusign. So if you liked Docusign before and just got frustrated with it, if you're familiar with that now that you've kind of gotten into it, this would be a good option for you to do this hybrid this way. This is the way I like to use it. It's still ZipForms forms, and I'll show you what that means. But you'll see here, instead of it saying form, it says ZFX, which just means that it's a zip form. Okay. All right, so if I'm going to start working with these, then all I do is click on it. And when I say that this is a partnership or a hybrid version, once I clicked on that, now remember, I'm in Docusign. I clicked on that and I actually opened up the ZipForms editor. So it gives me all of the editing capability and the features of ZipForms without having, and all of those great features, without having to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, I've added one extra step, which is creating that transaction in ZipForms. Everything else is exactly the same way it was in Docusign. Okay, now some of the features that are in here that I absolutely love. If you're not familiar with ZipForms, okay, all of your tools are going to be here across the top of your screen. And one of the things that was most irritating to people is you do have the strikeout feature here on the original editor, and you can strike things out right as you go through them. Okay. The other piece that I absolutely love is this fast fill. Okay. So if I click on this fast fill, you will see that it took my addendum, I think it's an addendum A. It took my addendum A and it basically took out all the wording, and all it did was give me the blanks. So now I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to say, I'm going to make this offer. I'm going to enter in my buyer's name. It's a super summary, fill in the blank, right? So you don't have to page through 10 pages of the offer. You will get 2 pages of fill in the blank, and down it goes. Now it gives you enough information here that if you're familiar with the form, you should be able to just go ahead and fill it in. And if you're not, then go through you can always go through. If I go back here and I click viewer, you'll see it starts filling that in. I can always go back in here and fill it in as I go through the contract. Okay. All right, so you go through here, you fill it all out. Now, the little bit of one little quirk with the strike through. We're always used to grabbing the strike through and putting that line and adjusting that line. This one, it works even better. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and I'm going to say I want to strike through cooperating. I highlight it and then I click strike through or strike out, and it adds the strikeout. So you don't have to worry about adjusting the little lines with the two little dots anymore. You don't have to worry about getting that exactly. You can just highlight and then pick the strike.
Oh,
Okay.
go on.
The other thing that you can do is you can.
Oh, Scott, would that be great?
All right, hang on, let me mute her. It's Carolyn. I could tell. All right. The other thing that's really nice is sometimes if I've got something, one of the features that I liked about Docusign, let's say, is that the strike through could have been a color. So it really shows off what it is. This has a highlight feature. So I could go through and I could say I wanted to strike it and I want to highlight it. Now it's noticeable again. If there's something in there that you really want to bring attention to, you can use the highlight feature as well. Okay, and again, it's a select the text and then select what you want it to do. Okay, really, really nice feature. It checks your spelling because a lot of us get typing fast and we have issues. So it checks your spelling on there as well. And but this fast fill really saves me a ton of time. Okay. Questions on that? Let me go into the offer here and I'll show you what that fast fill looks like on the offer. Here's the offer. One great thing about ZipForms that we first had in Docusign and then they started to take it away, but we have it in ZipForms, is if you are here, so included in the purchase price, right, we've got 5 lines. If I click on this, you'll see it becomes a paragraph. And then if I start typing, I don't have to worry about getting to the end of the line. It just automatically goes. And then if I click off of it, you'll see it lines up the text perfectly. Getting thumbs up in the room. Yes, it's awesome. It's much nicer, especially when you get going on amendments or repair type things or counter offers. We don't have to worry about it not lining up. We also don't have to worry about worrying about where the end of the line is, which is super, super nice. One thing you'll also might notice is because I used that fast fill, you'll see it automatically filled in the 2 fields that I did do on the fast fill on the addendum A. It automatically put those into the offer. So if you have things that are the address, the township, all of that stuff that might have to go on multiple places, it will recognize that the first form you fill in and put it all the way through. So if I went in and clicked on the affiliated business arrangement, for example, and I had put in the street address, we'll just use this one because that's a deal I've got going right now. City, gosh, spell that right. So you can see I'm using that fast fill again, and I'm just running right down. And some things are a little quirky, like this marketing may include. I went, wait a minute, I'm on an offer, not on a listing contract, because that to me is the wording of a listing contract. That's actually the inclusions and the exclusions on the offer. So you're marketing the stove, refrigerator, etc. And once I checked that and figured it out, then it was easy. Then I just keep going. If I go back here to viewer, you will see that popped that all in the appropriate spots, nice and centered. It's beautifully laid out. That's the one thing about ZipForms that I love. It looks very, very professional, and everything is spaced properly, which is great. But now if I were to save this and close it out, okay, I'm going to save here. Now you can see I've got the address in there. I've got a little bit of pertinent data. If I go in here to the disclosure to customers, for example, you will see that it's already going to fill in the buyer's disclosure. The trade. It should fill in the address because I filled it in somewhere else. So here you can see we'd never opened the TRID before, but you can see it has the date, it has my buyers, it has the address, etc. in it. Okay, so the more things you fill in as you get going, the less you'll have to fill in. So by the time you get to the last, I will start with the offer, because by the time I get to the other smaller forms, usually they're mostly filled in. Okay. If you choose to stay in ZipForms, which is totally up to you, once you put those documents in here and I go ahead, I'm gonna load one up, you will see that I've created that bridge. So I started that form, I was playing with that form in Docusign and filling it in. You'll see I'm in ZipForms, and it's still pulling the information I did from the other ones because it's created that bridge. So you can use them simultaneously almost, because you're technically creating those forms in ZipForms. So it goes back and forth. But you can see I'm now in ZipForms and this looks exactly the same. Okay, you've got all the same features up here. If you want to pull it into full screen, you can. And then basically you can go ahead. So you could go in here once you load these documents in, fill them all in, then turn around and load them into Docusign. They would all come filled in, ready to go, and then you can go there. You do have a better print option here than in Docusign. I know some people had trouble with, sorry, I gotta pick one. Some people had trouble with them not showing up or not being filled in when they went to go print them. So now you can do that. Okay, it works out. It's a much easier way to print than we had before. Okay, so again, once I'm in here, I'm gonna go to documents. You'll see all the documents. And then you can, fill them in, format them all. You can save them as a PDF if you want. I know that was an option before I've put any signature forms in. I'm just saving them as a PDF and sending them off. I'm printing them from here. I can go through and preview them so I can see, make sure that everything's lined up, although, they come through pretty good. Lots of options that you can do once you're in here, okay? This lives in ZipForms. Questions? Kind of thrown a lot at everybody. So within ZipForms, the question was, what is the signing functionality if you're just going to stay within ZipForms altogether? So ZipForms actually has two options. If I were to click e-sign here, I want to, let's see, it's not one that needs a signature. Pick one that needs a signature. All right, so I'm here on the buyer disclosure form. You can see it's filled everything in like we were before. If I were to click e-sign, it actually gives you two options because I have linked my Docusign account to my ZipForm account, created that link. So I can either go into Docusign and use that to sign this document, or they do have a digital ink that is ZipForms signature piece. Okay, so you could do everything in ZipForms if you wanted to. The downfall, I guess, to that I see is that then once you're totally done, you have to download those all on your computer and upload them into Command. Okay, that's where the hybrid to me saves me a ton of time. There is no direct link from ZipForms to Command. You need that middleman of Docusign. Not that I know of. I've heard nothing of them integrating ZipForms in. They've put all their eggs in the Docusign basket. And their answer to that is to allow this integration between ZipForms and Docusign. Their preferred partner, we'll call it, is Docusign. Docusign understands that we need to have ZipForms. Now, other states, the reason for that is other states like California only is allowed to use certain, other states can only use certain forms. That's the only one that their MLS boards will supply forms to. Our boards supply forms to all sorts of different places. But there are other ones where they're locked in. So they've created this integration between Docusign and ZipForms in order to solve that. Will they ever create ZipForms directly into Command? Not any time in the future that I know of. So the issues that people were having with Docusign were things that had to do with the formatting of the forms. So literally, the contract would pull up and you would try to do a strike through and it would move, or the form, the fill in the blank, you know, the formatting of the piece would be the wrong address. One of the forms you couldn't put 2 names on. Just stuff like that, that's irritating to people that really want that form to look professional, that really want to not have to do a bunch of workarounds, that don't want to have to try to add text boxes where they don't belong and things like that. We should be able to just fill in the form and go. That's what ZipForms gives us, is the fact that those are all there ready to go. And you can just zip right through them. They center them perfectly. I've not found one error. Now, I went through and fixed a lot of the dot loop stuff. I can't fix that strike through problem. The other problem that drove agents crazy is we are used to going through our offer as we do it and adding that strike through right then and there. Docusign requires you to do the strike through as you're adding, when you're, and so you have to almost go back through every contract again and figure out where all those strike throughs are. And again, ZipForms solves that by allowing you to do the strike through right away. Okay. So some of the places where people, now I had the opposite problem, is that I got so used to Docusign. I have not logged back into dotloop since we switched. So I got so used to Docusign. Now I used one in ZipForms and I forgot to do my strike through right away because I was waiting to do it at the end. Now, the nice thing about using the hybrid on that is that it still gives you the option without having to go all the way back and reformat your contract. It would give you the option to do those things. Oh, I missed the strike through. Oh, I missed this. I missed that. I can still do those things when I'm doing my signature using text boxes or Docusign strike through. Plus, it then puts it all into Docusign for you. Okay, so you're getting all the advantages of ZipForms and all the advantages, as far as I'm concerned, with Docusign. Now, what are the advantages to doing it this way with Docusign? Number one, you can still use all the ZipForm stuff. Number two, you get the autofill of the connection with Command, and it will put all of this information in here when you create that opportunity and create that transaction. So all of that will autofill. You don't have to go back and find any of that. I particularly like the signature piece in Docusign. I love some of the workaround or some of the quick time-saving things that Docusign offers, as far as sending things off, being able to put envelopes in order, and those types of things. So let's just say, for example, we got these all formatted, we're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead just like I normally would. I would select those 3. I would hit create the envelope. And I'm going to go in here exactly like we have been doing in all of our other Docusign things. It's going to create the same envelope. Again, you can see there's ZipForm forms. You can go ahead and view those if you need to. So you can see it. And then you can go ahead and do the same pre-tagged roles that we did previously. Yeah. Oh, I think I only have Andrew in there. Okay. And then hit add selected. Now, if I need to add in If you're not familiar with Docusign and you haven't used it before, essentially an envelope is exactly what it sounds, right? So we've created all the stuff, the information that we're going to stuff in the envelope, and then we create the envelope and us put our address on it. We tell it who it's going to send to. We have a great feature in Docusign that allows us to put the order in which people receive things. So obviously on an initial offer packet or something like that, I'm just going to send it to the buyer. The buyer's going to send it back to me. I'm going to deal with it. And then I'm going to send it to the listing agent. Okay. But where I find it really, really fun is things like counteroffers, amendments, easy notices, things like that. I put the buyer in here, and then I would go in here and I would add in, let's just say I'm the listing agent, right? I would add in the listing agent. If I put number 2 on there, 1, 2, that means this person's going to get it first. Once they sign it, then it will go to me. Okay, so it takes me out of that equation. If it's just a simple counteroffer that they're accepting, an amendment that they need to sign, and then it needs to be sent off to the other agent, all of that kind of stuff saves me a step, saves me having to track it, figure out when they signed it, on and on and on and on. Okay, there's all sorts of advantages to that. I find this, I use it all the time. Again, not on an initial offer packet, not on those types of things, but definitely on, you know, the simpler things that I just know I've done it all, they've signed it, and I'm just sending it back or receiving the copy or whatever it may be. Okay, this gives you the same options that we had in .loop, needs to sign, needs to view, receive a copy, etc. So if this person here just needs to receive a copy, then I will know exactly when they get that copy. If I put needs to view, then I will get a notification that says they looked at it. So if it's a time-sensitive amendment or it's a time-sensitive notice, I'm going to want to know that. And so I'm going to put needs to view, and I'm going to send it off, and I'll know exactly when they opened it. So if they turn around and say, well, I didn't get that till late, you're like, no, you looked at it at nice. Okay. Still lets me put in the little message here. And then when I hit next, it takes me to the same thing that we've been doing if you've played it all in Docusign, and it'll have all of those signatures already pre-assigned. Okay, so we've got here, pretend this is all filled in, and you can see here it's already pre-assigned my signatures. I'm quickly going to whip through this, make sure they're all assigned properly, and double check my work at that point. If I do need to add in an extra, ooh, I missed one, I can still do that, which is why it's nice. Not taking away any features, it's added in new features. Okay, and then you would hit send. Now, part of the reason that I really like the hybrid, just my deal, my thing, is that it's, again, saves me a ton of time. Because when those signatures come back, it is sitting in this room. And once it's in this room here in Docusign, then it's very simple to do my compliance. So now I'm back in Command, and because it's in Docusign, I can go ahead and pick what needs to go on there very easily. Okay. If you choose to use just straight ZipForms, then the workflow is a little bit different in that you would need to download all of these forms once they're signed onto your computer. And then when you go into Command, you would upload them all into here. They all have to be uploaded individually, so you download them all individually. Yep, that's why I like using the Docusign, because it's all right there. And they're all already individual. If they come to you and they're not individual, so now you've taken a listing, never fails that the offer comes over in one PDF that's 25 pages long. Awesome, I can do that. You put it in your Docusign room, you literally open it up, and there is a, oh, it's not a PDF, that's why it won't work. Hang on, let me get you to one. If this was a PDF, it has a split function, and you split that into its individual pieces, and away you go. Okay. So that gives a lot of the features that I like about DocuSign. I'm not losing. I'm just adding in the features that, and eliminating the things that drive me crazy about DocuSign by using ZipForms. Okay. Will be offered to you at no cost through the brokerage if you use the brokerage account, meaning you need a new email and password. Questions? Zoomland people, any questions? Correct. The question was, if you sign up for ZipForms, you have both and you have the total options of using whatever works for you. And yes, that is absolutely correct. Now, the other piece is if you're using this hybrid version, you're also not locked into one versus the other. So I'm in here and I'm like, oh, shoot, I need an addendum B. Oh, crap, where do I find it? I flip into DocuSign. I can pull up an addendum B, add that form into these ZipForms, and it works seamlessly together. So if all you need is to grab a quick counteroffer, or you're grabbing something quick, it doesn't matter what program you use, it will all reside in the same room. It will all be signed the same way. It will all look the same way to your client. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So tips and tricks. So one of the for those of you that didn't hear it, Tim's question was one of the struggles with DocuSign is the organization and getting so many different versions of the same form. Part of that is what I love about DocuSign, because I don't have to, and I don't know how many times you might have had to do this, but you type a big long counteroffer or you type a big long amendment in .loop, you send it off and they want a wording change, or you change one little piece of it, guess what? You're retyping the whole dang thing because there's only the one copy. So I understand why they did it that way in DocuSign. That saves that form. You go and make one quick change, you resend it off for signature. What I do, and it's very, very simple, and I set it up automatically. So I just created this room, right? So the very first thing that I do is I add a folder. And I call that my executed documents folder. And what it does is creates exactly like we had in .loop, you get little folders, right? It's for organization. And what I do is if once this sends back, I get the one that says green signed, I slide it up in there and it's a drag and drop. I know. And I just scroll down and start up from the bottom. Yep. No way to change that. No, because now the only way to change that would be to reverse your thinking and leave your executed stuff in the room docs and put everything else up in the top. That would be the only way to change that. Because what command is keying off of is the room docs is the root folder. That's the original one. So if you reverse your thinking on it, instead of putting executed documents up there, you called that forms folder and you ran everything up there and left only the executed stuff in room docs, then it would appear at the top of the list. Okay, literally drag and drop, and I'm moving it from folder to folder. So it's super quick and easy once you get stuff in there to flip it around, to make sure that you do that. But yeah, that's the one thing that I do right away. So I got a couple questions in chat here. What happened to .loop? .loop is being discontinued by the Market Center. How do I get DocuSign and ZipForms? So DocuSign is automatically connected to your command. You just have to go ahead and hit connect and create that. And ZipForms, you would send an email to Peter with your email that you want to use and a username that you want to use. Thank you, Tammy. I'm glad you like the way it integrates. It was really, really nice. Sarah, I may have missed it, but did you say I'll easily split up 125-page document? Yes. If I'm in DocuSign and I have to go find a, hang on, I got to go to a different room. If I'm in DocuSign, and let's see, this one will have a PDF in it. If I'm in DocuSign and I get that PDF back, that is a large amounts of pages. So here is the, let's just say it's this one, right? So I'm getting back my accepted offer to purchase. I think I've already split this one, so maybe it's only 10 pages. But let's just say this says 1 to 25, right? So I pull it up and I go into my document actions here and I hit split. So we had the same feature in .loop, but you were kind of spitting in the wind of what order everything was in. I ended up having to jot down, you know, you had your 25 pages, you'd pull it up, you'd go count them through, you'd be like, all right, the offers first, that's 1 through 10. And then it's not always in the same order, right? So then maybe they've got the addendum S, and then maybe they got the addendum A, and then maybe, you know, like the next time you get it, you might get the S and then the A and then the offer. You never know. This is really super nice because it gives you the thumbnails. So I can say, oh, okay, so that's the offer. So my new document name is offer to purchase whatever. I can call it whatever. And then I put in the pages that it is. So let's just say that was 1 through 5. I click add a document and I can say the next one. Add a document, I can say the next one. So you know that, oh, yep, that's the end of that one. Okay, here's the next one. And you can see it. Super nice, saves a step. Love this feature. Again, there's features in every type of software that people are going to love and hate. You have to find the one that works the best for you and figure out how to use it. Correct. Yes. Right, right. Yep. And that's the thing. If someone just sends you the signature pages or someone sends you the whole thing in a packet of 25 or 35 pages, it's very easy then to say, okay, I'm going to split this all out so I can do it. You do have a combine feature on here as well. So if you do get this just the signature page, you can combine those in and go ahead. And that's where that, so you can see here I have my executed documents versus my room docs, and everything I need in here, the tax bill, the MLS sheet, I've put everything in my executed so I know exactly where it is and how to connect it. Makes doing this command really super fast. So I use the hybrid version. I think that's the best option for people. I think you get all the tools then. You don't have to give up anything. But again, everybody has going to have their own way that it works best for them. And so I just urge you to give this a shot and then see which one works the best for you. I don't want people to be frustrated. I don't want people to feel like we're not giving them the tools to be successful. And so we want to make sure that everybody's got the tool that works best for them. Any other questions from anybody else? Nope, you email Peter for ZipForms. Docusign is automatically on your command once you have your logins. Yep, nope, you email for ZipForms. Docusign, you would just connect under your settings. Go under your name, under settings, and the very first thing that should pop up is your connection to Docusign. Because again, that's the Keller Williams preferred partner. So you're able to get both. Nope, once you get your login, you don't need to worry about connecting to ZipForms in command. There is a connection here in Docusign that you can do to connect your ZipForms up, or the very first time you do it, it'll just have you do it. Okay. The biggest thing that I want to caution you on is to make sure that if you were a ZipForm user before, maybe years ago before we switched to .loop, if you've been around a while, or if you jumped into the one that was offered by WRA for a while, or something else, please make sure you're using a new username and email address, because otherwise you will not have our KW forms. Okay, this is the only one that we're keeping, the brokerage account is the only one we're keeping active and updated. Okay. Any other questions from people? Did you say it has to be a different email for ZipForms? It has to be a unique email if you had a previous ZipForms account. Jennifer, I don't know that you've ever had ZipForms before, so you can just use your KW email and username, whatever you want to use. But if you had a ZipForms account through another brokerage or independently or from years ago, then you would have to use something different. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Please, again, do not struggle. If you have any questions, shoot me a text, shoot me a call, an email, whatever you need to do. I can walk you through something if you missed a step or something like that, but do not struggle, and definitely jump in and start transitioning over to the either Docusign or the Docusign ZipForms hybrid, because .loop is coming to an end. As far as adding it for you, I don't use that sheet, so I don't know. So let's see if we can find it. I'm not, oh, I got to put it on the listing here. Let's see, apply template, residential listing. So updates, estimated costs. Look at, nope, it doesn't. Got these are locked fields. I can have Peter look into that and see if that'll work. At least it needs to be blank. At the very least, it needs to be blank. I have actually started not to use this one. If I do have a question and I've had to do it before, I don't want to have to figure this at all. So I actually log into Caliber Title's website, and they have a fantastic seller sheet that will even estimate their title insurance very, very close to what it's going to be. It will talk about the discount. It will do all of that. It will figure your taxes for you, all of that stuff. So I have Caliber Title. They have an agent portal that you can go in, and it has a seller worksheet that works out beautifully. And like I said, it adds in things where here you're kind of sitting in the wind or guessing. They will give you what the title will cost, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So, but at the very least, these should be blank, and I will bring that to Peter's attention. All right, any other questions? If not, I will sign off. Will this recording be available somewhere? Yes, we will post it to the YouTube page. I did record this one, so we will post it to the YouTube page so you can refer back to it. Otherwise, I am here in the office Tuesdays from 9 to 11 every week. Have a great day.